Hello everyone and welcome to part 3 of the solo Eidolon hunting guide, the complete saga. This time we're going to take a look at how to make a tri-capture or a Tridolon. And now, what is a Tridolon? A Tridolon is when you capture all 3 Eidolons in a row. You start by the first one, and then you capture the second one, and then you capture the third one. The reason it looks like that is because you cannot actually fight the other Eidolons before you have fought the first ones, the previous ones, and also you cannot fight them unless you capture them. You cannot fight the next one unless you capture the previous one. Therefore, it is necessary that you capture the Eidolons and not kill them in order, yeah. And then while you're at it and still capturing everything, you might as well capture the last one as well, for the simple reason that the loot is just better, and that goes for all 3 Eidolons. You get more rare shards, and the arcanes, you get them from a better drop table, basically. Doesn't mean that the actual arcane you get that single instance is better, but like the drop table is just better, so yeah. So that's why you do it, and that's why we do it like this. Every single instance it resets, so you can't just grind hydrolyst either to get a bunch of energize or whatever you're after. You have to do it this way. Unless you didn't already know. So I'm just gonna try to first lure here. I'm not going to, again, that is what this video is about, so I'm not gonna show that. So, the fights of the other Eidolons are very similar to this one. There is a slight difference in that, firstly, they have 2 extra limbs, so they have 6 limbs each. Other than that, and that also means you need to take down this shield 6 times and everything. So you have the same stage, like was it 6 times instead of 4. And then also because of how the lures work, you will need to have 1 lure for every 2 limbs, so that means you will have to have an extra lure for each of those Eidolons. So you won't only need 2, but you will actually need 3 for both of them. So it's quite a few lures, but that really shouldn't be a problem. As you can see here, I'm just using the bombalist that I get under that spawn under the Eidolon. So we will get a total of 4 plus 4, so 8 Vombalists per Eidolon. That way it's very easy because that totals to 24 free Vombalists during the whole Tridolon. That way you don't really need to look for Vombalists anywhere else, and it's also the reason why I don't show that now, how to get Vombalists elsewhere, because you don't need it to actually do this. Okay, finally captured it. Oh well, you have everything set up and we're just gonna pop in just a second. So yeah, that's as far as the fight goes. They have different attacks, I will show you them. And there's the other difference, which is the fact that unlike the hydrolyst, they don't spawn automatically. You need the loot, you guess you need the brilliant Eidolon shard there to actually be able to spawn it in, and also you have to spawn it in manually. It doesn't spawn automatically, just appear. So, in order to spawn them in, or spawn in the next Eidolon, we want to head to this area right here and over here. I'm just going to mark it by pressing the right click on the map, unless you didn't know you can do that. And also I'm kind of doing this just to be very clear in case you're not very used to the Plains of Eidolon map and very comfy with it. You want to head to that location, so it's this huge lake here, quite close to the gates. And here you have this structure and you have this rock right here. You want to head to this, and you see that there is this thing called a shrine here. I think it's called a shrine anyway, that's what everyone calls it. So want to head here, and as you can see, it shows us the interact button, and we can interact with it. When we interact, it says insert shard, and then in parentheses, expend brilliant Eidolon shard. So what this will do is, we need to insert a shard, right? And it's a specific shard, it's specifically a brilliant Eidolon shard, which we've got a 1 from the Tridolon, and that's the one we need to use. And when we use that, it will use that shard, and then the second Eidolon will spawn. If you're concerned with the fact that you're wasting shards and you want to use them for focus, don't worry about that. You will get more shards when you capture the Eidolon, so it's nothing to worry about. But yeah, that's how it works, actually use up the shard. Okay, let's go ahead and insert our shard. And we see the yellow light appearing, and this is then the second Eidolon. So unlike the Tridolon, it cannot spawn anywhere on the map, or in not anywhere, but I mean the Tridolon also has fixed spawns, but the Tridolon has very many spawns. The gantulyst and second one and the third one, the hydrolyst, has 4 specific spawns in which they can spawn, so you thankfully don't need to run over a way to Africa or something. But it's just right here, there, there, or over there. So those are four spawns that can actually spawn it. Okay, let's take out the shield. And then let's actually, let me go grab that lure. I think I parked it accidentally. Alright, and then it's the same fight. You take out the shield, take out the limb, rinse and repeat 6 times. So I'm just going to do that. As you can see, we have 6 limbs now, so we have 2 arms, and then we have the 2 knees. Again, it's just that it's bigger, and then we have these 2 shoulder pieces, or whatever you want to call them. We usually call them shoulders anyway. So it's just that there are more limbs, otherwise, again, the fight is basically the same. So let's start chugging away at this thing. Alright. So yeah, the main difference really is that like the shield values are higher, so they're a bit more chunky, and like the limbs are a bit tougher and everything. Otherwise, like the mechanic is the same, like literally, like there isn't anything special with it in that sense. What varies though is the attacks. I mean, it has its normal every time you shoot it. It does the scream or whatever, and but yeah, it also has some other attacks which differ, which I will show you later. But other than that, it's literally the same thing, so it isn't much to explain really. I've already showed you this, so I'm not gonna explain it again. Alright, that's the last limb. Make sure you get the Wombalist under, that way you don't need to run around and look for a bunch of more. Like I said before, it's the best way to like get bombs basically, or to get the majority of your bombs, and I don't suggest you running around trying to get them elsewhere. You're just wasting a bunch of effort on something you don't need to do. Alright. So I'm going to wait here and not take the cap shot right away. So we need, like I said, we need 3 lures to capture it. You can see 3 lures are connected. The 4th one, well, it's kind of difficult to see, I guess, but it doesn't actually have a connection, so that's because all of the, again, it's 1 for each limb, 1 connection, and each lure has 2 connections, so the other ones will just stand by and not do anything. So you just need to make sure you have everything set up so we get a capture and not a kill. After that, it's just to go ahead and shoot away at it. Now I want to wait a little bit just so I can show you some of the attacks. So it has these lasers right here, which can be kind of, you know, annoying to deal with. The these deal a lot of damage, so you just need to like avoid them. And then it has these firebally things, which they deal a little bit of damage, but that's not the biggest concern with them. The biggest problem, really, at least as you increase in pace, is the fact that... Okay, let's just take these out. Is that they can block your shots and everything. Good. Going to showcase that, if I can see a projectile. So if I try to shoot through this projectile right here... Oops, okay, that didn't. Alright. I'm just trying to showcase this, so just bear with me a little bit. So you saw there, when I shot the first time, that's it. They hit didn't register, and that's because it blocked it, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. If sometimes your hits don't register, it might just not just be... Like, the hitboxes are terrible, but other than that, it may be that is actually blocking your shots. For this Eidolon specifically. Just so you're aware of that. Okay, let's take it out. And yeah, this will result in a capture as we have the lures properly set up. Otherwise it would be a kill. Yeah, so this thing is also the other attack it has. It's this kind of, I don't know what to call it. But something it sends out which has all these lasers. I don't remember exactly how much damage it deals because it so seldom does it. Yeah, it is a little bit of damage. But yeah, that's basically all the attacks has. So that's kind of the difference with it from the first one. Otherwise, it's basically the same. It has some similar attacks as well. You will see it yourself as well. So yeah, the loot dropped, and from the lure, and we got another arcane, of course, from the gantulyst capture drop table. If these mobilists can shut up for a second. And then we got another brilliant shard, some more Eidolon shards, and we got one radiant Eidolon shard. So you see that loot really like scales up as we continue on. And the arcanes are more worth as well, at least on average and on paper. Rarer at least. So yeah, let's head over to the shrine again after we capture this one, and look at your map again. If you're not too used to it, just look at your map again, mark it if you want, and then head over to that spot. I'm very used to this map, so I don't even think about it, but yeah, in case you aren't, again, just make it easy for yourself. So this one will be activated again, and we can now insert the next shard to be able to spawn the last and third Eidolon. Just a side note, if it is so that this doesn't appear after you've actually done a capture, and not if you've done a kill, then it won't appear, but if you've done a capture and it doesn't appear, it could be that you're just too fast. You can just wait a few extra seconds and it should appear. It isn't really relevant at this point, but I'm just a side note in case you would be confused by that, because otherwise you do oftentimes need to wait a little for this to actually appear when you're doing it really fast. Right, so again it says insert shard, expend radiant Eidolon shard. So as you can see, the difference is that we now need a radiant Eidolon shard instead of a brilliant one, so it will use that shard. So let's insert it, and as you can see, we no longer have the shard because we used it, and it will spawn the hydrolyst again in one of the 4 spots, this time over here. As you can see, you can look at the Eidolon and see where it's heading, and you know where it spawns. I'm very used to this, I can see very quickly where it spawns, but that's just, you know, learning that. So, I mean, it takes time to learn to be able to see that really quickly. Anyway, again, it has 6 limbs, so we just chug away 8 limbs. Not much to say about that, really. Again, its attacks are a bit different, but otherwise, it's basically the same fight. And then, of course, the shield values are higher, and the limbs have higher like damage values, 8 points. Whoops. Other than that, is again the same fight basically. Again, it has the same screaming animation, so it's you see it yourself. It's basically the same fight. It's just a bit more intimidating, a bit more visual, And then it can spawn this thing, which is like Bombalist Bloom, so it spawns Bombalist, and also it like protects them, so you need to damage this first to be able to take out the Bombalist. And then you see it has like this lightning, something it sends out. I don't know, it's not doing that at the moment, I guess. Then it has this weird rain, hopefully I can show you that later. Whoops. I haven't been playing for long, by the way, that's why and also I'm trying to explain everything, that's why my focus isn't that good. So yeah, if you still haven't charged the lure, you get 4 extra here and 4 extra when it stands up, so just make sure you get use of that, and that you have the proper amount of lures. We need 3 for this one as well, so I have 3 charged here. Other than that, you take out the limbs, or Shinovias, take out the shield first, and then you just at the end take out the body, and you will, with the lures properly set up, and you will have completed a capture. So as you can see, this rain right here. Okay, yeah, you see this rain. It like has this huge AoE with deals damage, and then let's see if we can see the lightnings as well. Yeah, you see those lightning strikes. They actually deal a significant amount of damage. That's something to look out for. Otherwise, there isn't much to this Eidolon really. This bigger, has more hit points and everything. Deals more damage. So, like, the thing is to note, I guess, is that with the attacks, first of all, if you're doing it really quickly, the Eidolon won't actually have time to attack you. It will just do its animation, and then it will, right away after the shield goes up, it will just do its animation again, because you're doing it so quickly, right? It won't have any time to attack, and it's just get into sort of a rhythm and everything. So that's one thing, and then the other thing is that yeah, right, so his strategy in terms of like trying to survive the attacks, and more importantly trying to keep the lures alive, because they can take quite a lot of damage. They aren't that tanky, they don't have an infinite health pool. So in terms of doing that and like surviving, keeping the lures alive, as far as the gantulyst goes, you can kind of avoid the attacks, and even when you're doing really fast rounds, sometimes, you know, the lasers can appear anyway, so really the strategy there is trying to avoid them, and you can kind of keep the lures alive for a long time. As long as you keep the other lasers, they basically don't die, right? As far as the hydrolyst goes, it's kind of like the attack is just this huge AoE, and it just drains away like half of everything, or that's what it feels like. I don't know if that's probably not exactly how it is, but that's how it feels like. You can't really avoid the attacks, to just attack you anyway. So the best strategy when it comes to the hydrolyst, it might sound dumb, but it's just to do it faster. Like there's no point in trying to avoid anything. You just try to up the pace, and the lures will stay alive and everything. Now, if you struggle to keep the lures alive, as your pace is not that high, to begin with, what you can do is you can park the lures a bit away, and you only have like one charged lure to make sure it doesn't teleport, or you just keep all of the lures away. I don't know, you can do as you wish there, and then just run after it. So that's something you can do, and then, you know, bring one lure at a time. Otherwise you may end up just having them explode, and it's just sad. You have to get more and everything, and it just takes so much longer. So that's as far as that is concerned. There really isn't much else to actually doing it more, not just more effectively, but more gracefully, whatever you want to say it, than just increasing the pace. Then it just becomes, funny enough, if it just becomes much easier if you're doing it at a faster pace. But yeah, that's basically how to complete Tricapture. Future videos will really only be about increasing the pace, because now at this point you know how to complete a Tricapture. So yeah, that's that. Let me know if there was anything that was unclear, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Just make sure you watch the previous videos so you have the basic knowledge first, because this every video builds upon like the previous things I've already said. So, and I won't really explain things again. So yeah, so now you should be able to do a track capture by yourself. Otherwise, let me know. And see you in the next video. Bye.